Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of JVSCP. This week we'll be taking a look at quite the mysterious little location, so it's gonna be a fun one. I've read this through and this has been on our list for a little while now, and since I had some time, I decided that what better time to read it than, well, right now, so let's just get into it. SCP-6457 by meltedbee from the SCP Wiki. Object Class Safe. Pending reclassification to Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. The area affected by SCP-6457, as well as an additional radius of 2,000 meters, is to be fenced off, and entry is to be denied by undercover Foundation personnel in local police uniform. The anomalous weather in the area is to be dismissed as a rare meteorological effect resulting from a higher than average volume of sea spray in the area. Personnel are, without express permission from at least 3 on-site Level 3 personnel, not allowed to enter the anomalous area, no matter the level of personal protective gear being worn. Description: SCP-6457 is the designation of a circular area with a radius of approximately 500 meters located north of the city of Arcata in Northern California. The location is a cliffs point overlooking the sea below. Plant life in the area seems to be thriving, though animal life has not been detected. The anomalous effect of 6457 manifests continuously as a permanent rain over the area. The rate of precipitation will change, varying from a slight drizzle to a strong downpour, often at random. The rain itself has the anomalous property of dissolving any foreign matter introduced to the environment, as well as reforming any matter removed. Any foreign matter introduced into the 500-meter radius will appear to, quote, melt in the rain. If any matter is removed from its current position inside the anomalous area, it will reform where it was originally, appearing to be reconstructed via rainwater. For example, if one was to pick up a rock from the edge of the anomaly, the rock would dissolve into the equivalent volume of water. Rainwater then introduced to the ground nearby the location will animate and recreate the moved rock. Though the rock would appear to be created out of water, it maintains the properties of its base silica material. The water produced appears to be non-anomalous. Investigations on using this property for on-site water generation is pending due to Incident 6457-1. The anomalous area is centered on SCP-6457-A, a human corpse. The corpse possesses injuries typical of blunt force trauma to the head and chest, as well as drowning. Signs of initial breakdown stage decomposition are also seen on the corpse. Due to the anomalous influence of the rain, the actual exposure time of the corpse cannot be determined, as the anomaly prevents further decay. However, due to this property, it can be determined that the anomaly appeared approximately 12 hours after death. SCP-6457 was first discovered after the disappearance of 2 teenagers who frequented the area around 6457. Due to their excursions often taking place around the area, it can be assumed that the formation of SCP-6457 took place a day or two before April 2, 2002. The date of their disappearance. After local police failed to find the teenagers, Foundation agents embedded in the city government managed to discover the anomalous location. Personnel stationed to oversee SCP-6457 often report the location as, quote, strikingly beautiful, and almost universally attempt to extend their assignments to the anomaly. This is seen most prominently in agents who exhibit traits of personal dissatisfaction as designated by the Foundation Getty-Meyer test. Incident 6457-1. Video log. Date 23rd of November 2003. Note: recorded via backup cameras in the containment radius of SCP-6457. Begin log. 2206. Junior researcher Thomas Baker is seen on the outer perimeter of the containment fence. He appears to be out for a night walk. 2217. After 11 minutes of pacing, Baker removes wire cutters from his coat and cuts the barbed wire fence of the outer containment perimeter. Site security at this point was undergoing a system reboot, and as such, security was not alerted of this incident. 2309. Baker arrives at the inner containment perimeter. He sits at the outer edge for some time. Facial expressions and posture indicate deep thought. 2319. Baker breaches the inner containment fence and begins to walk into SCP-6457, which at this point is a moderately intense coastal storm. Baker proceeds approximately 25 meters before being rendered immobile and is dissolved by the anomalous effect of the storm. No expressions of pain or discomfort were recorded during this time. End log. After this incident, site security was improved and an investigation into the potential memetic hazard was launched. Results have indicated a latent memetic effect associated with exposure to SCP-6457, which at this time is cause for an attempted reclassification to Euclid class. Addendum 6457-1. Excerpt from On Noospheric SCP Objects, published in 2006 by Dr. V. Eckhart.
This trend established with most noospheric SCP objects in terms of their inception holds true in the case of SCP-6457. One cannot be certain, but the majority of evidence points to the conclusion that the death of SCP-6457-A caused a noospheric overflow, an event in which the noospheric energy density creates a sort of sink of noospheric energy, not unlike the functional principle of a black hole, in turn resulting in the creation of the area SCP-6457. The inciting incident creates a link with the human noospheric concept of discontent, the concept which created the noospheric overflow. As such, a strong source of this noospheric concept creates a memetic link between the object and the source of the concept, in this case being at the center of SCP-6457. Unfortunately for the source, this result is a drive to enter the anomaly, again similar to a black hole, resulting in termination of the source.
New additional addendum. Addendum 6457-2. SCP-6457-A has, using cross-referencing techniques on data pulled from the missing persons population of Arcata, California, been identified as Jackson Mullins. Mullins was identified as missing April 1st, 2002, after attempts to contact him after an unexplained absence from his home failed. In the months leading up to his absence, Mullins was noted as having exhibited signs of major depressive disorder. Research into the inciting factors of this incident is ongoing. Notice: revised containment procedures and a revised description are available. Viewing added text to containment procedures. Personnel assigned to SCP-6457 must pass the Foundation Getty-Meyer psychological test for general dissatisfaction with a score of 160 or below. If personnel begin to exhibit signs of unusual aesthetic attraction to 6457, they must be transferred immediately to a different site. Viewing added text to description. In addition to its described properties, SCP-6457 possesses an anomalous ability to influence those who remain in close proximity to the anomaly. This effect manifests slowly over the course of approximately 1 to 2 years, but can manifest much faster in those with high levels of personal discontentment. This influence results in subjects spending more time on the site border, until eventually they will walk into the center of the anomaly with no protective gear. Subjects who reach this stage of influence invariably perish as a result of the anomalous effects. And that was 6457. Overall, I quite like this entry. It has a couple of things that make it really easy for me to like it. First off, it's a location, and secondly, it has very cool aesthetics. I like my edgy stuff. I like my rain. There's a reason why in my homebrew D&D world there's this island where it always rains. I just love rain, okay? And of course, I think this goes to a very nice level of like edginess. I don't think it pushes too far to the level where it gets kind of cringy. But I think with the themes that it works within and the way that it's formatted as an SCP entry, I think it does a pretty good job of holding to that line, you know? A couple of critiques that I have, which both are pretty, I want to say petty, even though that might not be the perfect word, but the two that I do have are: one, I don't like the fact that in the way it's described in the entry, the Foundation seemingly has agents embedded in the city government of what I think is a fairly small-ish, like, Californian town. Yeah, it's a fairly small town, so like I said, this is very petty, but at least the way I like to imagine the Foundation is that while they have immense amounts of funding, it would feel kind of weird for them to have agents embedded within, in this case, like seemingly in every city's government. It also could be that I'm missing something, but that's just, like I said, I don't think it really matters to the overall content of the entry. It's just a little thing. And I guess kind of tagging along to the end of that, I don't like the use. I think I've talked about this before, but I don't like the use of this very specific location in the real world. Though especially with something like this, there could be some kind of reference to an actual real-world event that I'm just not getting, or something like that, some kind of folklore or urban legend or whatever, though I don't think that's the case here from what I read in the discussion. Though once again, I don't think it's a massive L for the entry as a whole, just something that I would have preferred it to be redacted, or at least like the specific city to be redacted, you know? But yeah, I overall really like the entry, and both of those critiques are very, very minor, and they're very, I guess, yeah, petty. Now, my interpretation around like the themes that the entry works within are fairly surface level, I feel like. Well, fairly, I think, is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. I think it's very surface level, quite on the nose, to be completely honest. But I quite like the idea of using this, well, using depression as this kind of overwhelming natural force. I quite like the way that the water melts people. I think that's a very cool, like, visualization of the way that depression kills, you know? I could also see some other ways, maybe instead of the water melting people, maybe it just called people to walk into the water and the people just disappear. That could also be cool. Maybe there could be some like weirder contrast where the people get set on fire and burn. when they touch the rain. But that's just me spitballing. That's not specifically a critique. I quite honestly really like the use of the water melting things. I also like how the time is frozen within that moment of the person, well, committing suicide. I think the symbolism around that is very, very nice. And going from those kind of like details to this more big picture approach, I think there's a very cool way of interpreting this where there's this location where this noosphere, which is this kind of like, I guess like the dimension of ideas and information and feelings. Jeff talked about this a bit more in our There's No Anti-Memetics Division explained video, but the idea that there was this location that was very susceptible to becoming this like black hole of, well, emotion, and then this person's suffering kind of created or breached that veil and allowed this area to be created. I think that's very, very somber and still very cool. I really like this. I really like this entry. It's a fun one, and of course, it's a location, and it has rain, so it definitely gets my love for simply just that. So, yeah, there we go. But do let me know what you think of this entry down in the comments below. If you have a different interpretation, if there's something that you really didn't like, I'd love to hear critiques. And while you're down there in the comments, typing up that comment, let me just switch into my YouTuber mode here. You can also go to the description and check out our Patreon, and there should also be a join button to join as a YouTube member. And if you do that, you can be like one of these people. I think it's this way over here. One of these people. These lovely people have donated their hard-earned money to us and supported this effort to, well, most of all, this is a way for me and Jeff to have fun and try out some artistic ideas and to, well, of course, fit into that kind of like niche within the SCP like reading niche, where we wanted to really focus on creating some really cool visuals, and I think we've done well on that. And of course, covering some SCPs that probably don't get covered too often anywhere else, so we hope you enjoy and keep supporting us, because that's how we keep this channel going. So huge, massive thank you to all of you who have stuck around. We know that the upload schedule is a bit inconsistent, but we are doing our best. We're both very busy. I have a job doing, well, who could have guessed, video editing work as a freelancer, but still I do have other projects. But we are doing our best to always keep you guys in the back of our minds and take time and care into these projects. So thank you all so much for watching, for listening. If you've had this on the background while doing your chores and are listening to this simply just because you haven't had time to change it yet, then I hope you're doing well, because you are loved and you deserve the love and respect of the people around you. And you also deserve to take a little moment and enjoy some tea or something else that you might like. This is probably one of the more rambly outros that we have ever done. Hopefully we'll be back next week. If not next week, then definitely the week after that. I have a couple of SCPs that I have lined up, which I will be recording tomorrow, and if Jeff doesn't have time, I'll be releasing those. But yeah, either me or Jeff will be greeting you within the next few weeks, so don't you worry. Okay, I think it's finally time for me to end this shit show of an outro. So take care. Bye bye.